Hello there, my name is Lamar Daniels, the current Esports Director at St. Xavier University. If you're watching this video, you have somehow come across my Esports stats template and you want to kind of have a little bit of instruction on how to be able to work it out. What this video will basically do is go through some basic instructions, some things to kind of watch out for on the esports stats template that I created. A little background on the idea. I was a former college athlete. I ran track and played volleyball, amongst a couple other things. And I remember one day trying to go back and find some pictures of myself, and I realized I couldn't. It was a little hard for me to do being someone who's in college back in 2011, 2012, social media wasn't as big as it is now, like to make sure you have all these pictures for your student athletes, things like that. And I realized if I didn't have the stats from my time there, it'd be hard for me to even remember everything that I did or the accomplishments that I had. And I've kind of realized that we have the same issue in collegiate esports. If you're bringing up this template, odds are you're kind of noticing you're having students have so much success in your program and set records and achieve goals, but you don't really have a way of really tracking it well for them, right? At this point, we've had collegiate esports for a few years. There's probably been kids that have gone through schools that have set school records or been the best of all time in something, and you just kind of don't have something to be able to track that. So that's what this is. It's a really basic thing. It's just a spreadsheet with a whole bunch of formulas. Hopefully, ultimately, someone who has a brighter mind than I do is able to kind of take this and maybe myself and them or kind of expand on this and make it something more fleshed out. But to kind of start off with, first page is just some basic instructions, like very, very basic instructions. It just tells you what games are on. If you have any questions, my Discord contact is in there. And it essentially just says that there's no pre-filled numbers. It's most likely a formula you don't want to mess with it, but I'll kind of go through tab by tab. First one, Rocket League. Rocket League, probably one of the simplest ones to do. Essentially, all you do is just put in the score that you'll see from the scores tab. So at the end of each game, whether you're streaming it or just take a picture, then you just come in here, put all the info, and that's it. Your roster goes here. So, for example, if I had a player, let's say it was me, Lamar Daniels, you can put first last name, you can put gamer tag, whatever works best for you. You enter and it will throughout the entire spreadsheet change the first person to Lamar Daniels. Then you can put their information here. This will all tabulate down here for each individual game. And let's say the second game I had 3 goals, 5 assists or 3 assists, and that will all tabulate down here for the series total that you can see right here. Try to make sure my camera is kind of out the way as much as possible. Hopefully that works. All the way at the bottom will tabulate. These are ways for you to keep track of just records. Game highs will be right here. It's a massive formula, so I would suggest not to edit it and just let the formula run for itself. A series high, so like how many, what's your high over the season, that current series or in any series. And then season total is right here. Season total is the way you can track the number of games is if it says anything in the goals section. So if a player didn't play, leave this blank. If they did play but didn't score a goal, still put a 0 down there. That way it will still track. So let's say player 2, I put a 0. Right here you can see they at least played a game. That way if you want to kind of track anything bigger, goals per game, goals per series, anything like that, or assists per game, you're able to do that with those numbers being down there. You can make your own formula for that if you'd like. Once again, pretty simple. I like to put whatever school we play up top. So let's say a dear friend of mine, Siena Heights, which at the moment of this recording, Coach Rob is currently there, right? Siena Heights, I can put it there. And I like to keep track of it. So one thing that I also do is I hyperlink a link to the match page, so I can always just go back here and go directly to wherever the match page is. Kind of like your more official box score that you'd see in traditional sports. Next, Super Smash Brothers, even more simpler. I really couldn't figure out anything else. Smash is always constantly moving, so I'm not trying to take a screenshot in between each individual round. This is really just to be like, how many stocks did you take? How many stocks was lost? This is Very, very basic. That's really all that I put in. Total rounds is the same thing. If they didn't play, I'll leave it blank. If they did play but lost any stocks, still put a 0. So that way, oh, I'll have to correct that. By the time you watch this, that will hopefully be corrected. But that way you can see how many total rounds they played in. It will essentially be the same formula from Rocket League. Now here we get to the tricky ones. Valorant, League of Legends, and Overwatch. The reason they become a little tricky is because now these formulas have a lot of division in them, and took a little finagling to make them work. Valorant, first thing up, all these, anything blank, that's what you fill in. Anything that has a number in it already, you leave it. So what you want to do, put your roster in first. I usually put the point up there. I say what map we played and how much. So like, let's say we won bind, a score of 13-8, and I'll keep it there. And this yellow one, usually all these totals down here are tabulated for you, except for this box. That's where you put the number of rounds. So here, 13-8, 21 rounds. Now the formula to get the rounds is that there has to be a death. If you went an entire Valorant game and didn't die, kudos to you. You're gonna have to let me know, and I'll give you instructions on how to fix the sheet for you. But essentially, if anyone died more than 0 times, it will tabulate for them and say they played 21 rounds. Just give you an example. So you'll fill in kills, deaths, and assists. The average combat score that also comes from the scoreboard. Like which usually like something like 350 is a really good game, and that will calculate their total combat score for the entire game. This becomes a little bit important later, and I'll show you in a bit. And then you got first bloods, plants, diffuses, all right there. Again, these are all formulas that are tabulated, so KDA automatically tabulated as well. Again, try to not mess with these because they become very tricky. Now, for the entire series, if you wanted to get their average combat score for the entire series, what we had to do is add up the total combat score divided by the number of rounds. That's how you get average combat score. This took a little bit to go because I had to put in a function so that if you divide it by 0, it wouldn't give you a divisional error. Because then that would mess up a lot of your game highs, your series highs. Even if it was like game 20 and you haven't even got to game 20, it would still mess it up. So this all gets tabulated. Anything in the series total gets tabulated automatically. So first bloods, if you had 2 in the first game, 4 in the second game, you'll see right here it'll say 6. So again, I would advise not to mess with this stuff. It's all formulas, whatever, blah blah blah. If you need to put more players here, you can always do so. Usually most Valorant teams, like I doubt you're playing more than 6. So, and then everything down here will automatically tabulate your games highs, your series highs, and your season total, which is really, really cool to be able to have. Round total is important to get the season total of ACS. I came into this problem where I realized that I had some players who didn't play every round, so their average combat score was getting divided on the entire season, which is making it a little bit lower than it actually was. So for those of you who've been waiting for this for a little bit, a couple weeks, that's been the biggest issue that I've been cleaning out. Be careful of having zeros factor into your team ACS average. So make sure that if you had player 6 play, make sure you clear out or make sure you don't put something in the average combat score here, because usually that will then change the average here. As you see, instead of it being 350, like it's 175. So make sure no zeros there. So the average down here, because this is an average formula, comes out correct. So long story short, put your roster in here, kills, deaths, assists, average combat score, fill out these, and then this yellow box right here, I put it in yellow on purpose just to remind you. Now, League of Legends, kind of similar as well, pretty closely similar. Same thing. Now, minutes, you have to do a little bit of math on it. CS per minute is a really important stat to be able to have in League of Legends. For you to get minutes, obviously, if you played 14 minutes and 30 seconds, that means minutes down here would be 14.5, and you have to fill that in yourself. The The thing that you have to fill in for it to count that they played minutes is gold, which in which case everyone gets gold at some point. Um, so I connected it to that. I know there literally might be some games where like your support doesn't get a kill, so I didn't want to put it there. Or you have a really really great game that someone doesn't get a death, but it is attached to your gold. So make sure you put in what the gold was. That will then say how many minutes they played. So if I said they got 300, 3,500 gold, it'll say boom minutes for player one. Check. Then CS per minute will be able to then be formulated off of that. So let's say I had 250 CS throughout the game. Boom, CS per minute tabulated for you right there. So you have to put champion damage, CS, gold, wards placed. The wards placed, still put it down there just in case it's something you want to track. I know like the biggest formula stuff is going to be KDA, CS per minute. And those are kind of big ones I put in. If there's any other league formulas that are out there that are big, I'm sorry. I didn't get it in. If you want to edit this, you can. It probably would take you a little bit of time, though. Once again, all tabulates down here for your own benefit. And Overwatch. Okay, now Overwatch, those of you who know me near and dear to my heart, took a little bit of time. Because Overwatch, the way that you do your averages isn't based off maps, but minutes per 10. There's a lot of times some maps are a lot longer than other maps, right? Whether you're playing, you go, a quick 1-0 hold on King's Row to you're playing Dorado and you both full cap the map, right? So that's normally how in Overwatch professionally you compare stats as per 10. So here, your minutes is attached to eliminations. Now I noticed this a little bit late. However, I would hopefully you don't go through a match where someone gets 0 eliminations. If so, again, reach out to me. I'll help you figure it out. I apologize if that happens, but it might, especially if like someone is just playing Mercy or something, right? So, but if that does happen, just kind of let me know, and I'll help you kind of figure out best way to get this to work. And this might literally just be a manual. You put in the actual amount of minutes that they had. Once again, you put the number of minutes down here. Once again, you have to do the division by 60. With Overwatch, some things to note. You can only get a picture of the scoreboard if you are a player in the game or you're spectating one team only. We found this out the hard way, that if you're full spectating the game, which you're being able to see both teams and all the ultimates and everything like that, you won't be able to see the scoreboard, at least at the time of this recording. So keep that in mind. You'll need one of your players to take a picture or one of your subs who's spectating only your team to take the picture here. Minutes, you can either go into the replay. Overwatch is a little buggy where like some of the replays count the time in between switching sides. Ideally, get whatever the lower number is. That way, they're only counting gameplay. That way, your stats are as accurate as possible. Obviously, we didn't put assists per 10. Damage mitigated is probably like the one that people like you might not care of as much, but then everything else should work out. So like, let's say 14 minutes 30 seconds here, and then it's attached to elimination. So for eliminations, 4 assists, 4 deaths, damage done. I'm gonna put something random, boom, and then you're able to get all the stats. Once again, everything adds up down here. This has 6 lines because sometimes in Overwatch you can tie, so you're provided an extra 6. Map highs, series highs, seasons totals, all here for your benefit as well. And then lastly, I have it set up so that you have a seasons total for you. So everything you put in, it will all add up and then automatically will all populate over into this last tab just for you. Your player's name will come here. All the stats will come here, everything like that. So if you want to get a quick snapshot of the entire season, it's all right here. Now some things to note. If you need more games, I try to give a lot of games, but I'm a one-man show, so I wasn't trying to go too far. You'll have to copy and paste really just a column. I just suggest doing this and then literally clicking and dragging, but you'll have to come back here to your game highs, edit for just one of them, and then you can just copy paste the formula over and down. If you're familiar with Excel, you know how to do that. Same with your series highs, which are all connected to the series totals down here, and then you'll have to do it on your seasons total as well. So keep that in mind if you add more stuff down the road. And I guess other things to possibly keep in mind, like obviously these titles. I know there's some other well played titles out there. Call of Duty probably being the biggest one that I don't have here. Just don't have Call of Duty on my program. I haven't been at a program that has had Call of Duty, so but feel free to add that to it and maybe share it along with people. If you guys want to kind of get a quick, let me see if I can pull up an example so you guys can see what this looks like. Oh, so here's from the fall. I didn't have it look as nice as it does right now. Okay, my bottom right here is in the way. Hold on, give me. There we go. Um, I had all this. It was a mess, and then I cleaned it up for everybody. But same thing, right? So Rocket League, you see games highs. So most goals in a game, most goals in a series, and a season total for players, right? And then it says how many games they played. Um, Valorant, here's an example. This is where I really realized where I had a couple players that didn't play full, right? Oh, there we go. Headset died. Um, for example, Blitz played 280. Saint Icer played 264, right? So their ACS was very messed up when it was going across the 504 rounds. Now it's more equitable for them. And here, this is kind of what I like to do. Like I have it linked. So for example, we played Campbellsville in Nace. I have a link directly to the match, the score, everything like that. It's right there. I put the map, what the score was on each map, then all the stats are here as well. Academy, we have Academy Adventure, Overwatch team. This first map was when we realized that you can't find the stuff, so I had to kind of go back and count this stuff a little bit. Um, Once again, here's everything kind of added up. I try to keep elims per 10 to the 10th as much as possible. Same with Valorant. KDA obviously is like to the 100th. Everything else is really kind of just a flat number. Um, and then Smash, I haven't put our Smash stuff in. So this and then our League of Legends thing, a team I add to filters in as well. But all in all, to kind of wrap this up, I think this becomes a pretty cool thing that you're able to do. It allows you to kind of create some storylines for your team. One of the coolest things that we were able to do is that we announced one of our players hit 500 kills in Valorant. As like a milestone, which was really cool for us to be able to do. But without this, I wouldn't have been able to do something like that. So if you're out there and you're wanting to be able to establish records for your program, historical marking for it, and kind of let your students tell their story as they go through time and let them set individual goals. I know we set team goals all the time. This is a great way for them to set individual goals as well for whether a season, whether a game, or whether a career. This gives you that opportunity. So I hope you appreciate it. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. Discord, Coach Pioneer 0005, it's right there. And I hope you enjoy the spreadsheet, and I hope that this helps collegiate esports in general and helps your program specifically. Thank you.